Hi, this is John Bray with Atlantic Aquatic Engineering. I'll be narrating your tour of the Maplewood Pool Complex. Just a little bit of housekeeping first. If I inadvertently say something in this narration that's at odds with the plans and specs will govern. I'd like to start with an overview of the overall aquatic scope of work, with the understanding that there are other aspects of the project, architectural, construction, and MEP work that I'm not mentioning, but that will be mentioned by other members of the design team. First of all, it's important that you take a look at the site and understand where you can use what you can use for laydown area, where you should stay away from, just so that we can minimize the impact on the site. It's unclear at this point whether the pools will be full or empty when you start your work, but in any event, if they are full, and perhaps you should assume that they will be, you should plan on draining the pools with auxiliary pumping equipment and coordinate with the town as to exactly where you should be pumping the water so that we minimize any adverse effects on the surrounding area. Remember, the town has been emptying these pools every year for decades, and so they are pretty well versed as to how to get rid of the water. The selected demolition involved is primarily the existing stainless steel vacuum sand filters that are between the diving pool and the main pool. And I'll step back a little bit. This project essentially involves replacing the filtration and water chemistry systems for 4 pools: the wading pool, the training pool, the main pool, and the diving pool. It also includes replacing the pumps for the slides. The existing pumps are self-priming pumps, as you would typically expect. They have been a continuing source of maintenance issues for the township over the years, probably because they are multi-voltage pump motors, and they burn out whenever there's a brownout and the voltage drops. The core voltage on this project is 208 volts. And so all of the motors for the new larger pumps, including the slide pumps and the recirculation pumps for the main pool and for the diving pool, are going to be end suction pumps, and they're going to be 200-volt motors. So you should make a note of that. You're also going to see that there's attic stock in terms of extra pumps to be provided during the course of the project, so that the owner has a pump to use to replace one that goes bad. It's a very sensitive issue with the township, so please make sure that you pay attention to that requirement. So getting back to the demolition, as I've been mentioning, you remove the existing vacuum sand filters, preserve all of the piping. You will be reconnecting the existing piping either to the new filtration systems, or you'll be running that into a new balancing tank. Because once those existing vacuum sand filters are removed, we're going to replace them with cast in place concrete balancing tanks. So you'll be running all of the gutter lines and bottom drain lines into new concrete balancing tanks. You'll be pulling out of those balancing tanks for filtration system. The new pumps will be located in the new building, which will be built where the existing chemical building is. So one thing to remember also is that the site has an existing well, and the well is going to be used to fill the pools initially for the season, but any makeup water required after that is going to be coming from the domestic water supply. So you will see a feed from the existing wells into the balancing tanks, where the water will flow backwards through the bottom drains to fill the pools. We are assuming, based on drawings that are available from previous construction, that there are concrete base slabs under each of the vacuum sand filters. We're going to keep those, and we're going to use those as a base to construct the new balancing tanks on. We're not using the existing concrete base slab as the floor of the new balancing tank. We're simply using them as a building pad. Obviously, if you're going to be removing the filter tanks, you'll be removing the bollards around the tanks, and you'll be removing the concrete decking and any other earth or backfill material that would be necessary to build the new balancing tanks. Um, After each tank is removed, it will be your responsibility to shore or over excavate as required so that it's a safe excavation adhering to OSHA safety regulations. Most of the concrete removal is along existing either control joints or crack control joints. Where it's along an existing control joint, then of course you'll have to saw cut the concrete to remove it. I don't think we have any deck removal that is not along an existing joint. The existing training pool and wading pool filtration systems and water chemistry systems must be removed as required for the new systems. You have to remove the existing slide pumps and associated piping. The new pumps are going to be separate pumps and strainers instead of integral strainers. So the configuration will be a little bit different. The motors are vertically oriented just to save space. You'll see that all on the drawings. Um, the new system filtration systems will be installed as you see on the drawings. It's pretty simple for the training pool and the wading pool. They'll be replaced pretty much just as they are now, with a few differences in terms of filter tank construction and configuration. The filtration systems for the lap pool and for the diving pool are going to be stacked horizontal high pressure high rate sand filters in the new building. You'll see how that's configured on the drawings. You will have to excavate for new pipe trenches, primarily between the location of the existing vacuum sand filters and the new filter building for your new filtered water supply lines and pump suction lines and some other incidentals that you'll see on the drawings. It is your responsibility to build the new balancing tank. You'll note that there is some ventilation through the structural top to the tanks. Um, you'll supply and install the new water chemistry systems. The water chemistry systems are all based on liquid chlorine. The pH control for the wading pool and for the training pool are CO2. The pH control for the main pool and the slide and the diving pool are going to be acid. The acid is going to be stored outside the new building in a couple little sheds that you'll see there, only one of which will be accessed by the pH control feed pump. The pump is inside the building. There'll be a conduit through the wall so that the tubing can go and pull out of acid containers that are stored outside. Obviously, the intention is that we don't cause any corrosion inside the new building with acid fumes. Um, You'll also notice some construction details regarding the new balancing tanks. There is the typical ladder rungs and hatches and ventilation through the slabs on top that you'll see on the drawings. Once everything is in place, the new concrete decking will have to be poured to replace what's been removed for trenching. There is a new backwash line from the new building that connects to the existing backwash line. The exact location of that isn't known, but it's shown on the drawings to the best of our knowledge. So you'll have to hunt for that a little bit. I don't think it's going to be too difficult since it does connect to the existing vacuum sand filters. You'll have to supply and install housekeeping pads under the new filters, on the new pumps, and the new chlorine tanks. You'll have to provide new automatic water level control systems as we show on the drawings. It's important that you plan on cleaning and marking the filter rooms and the new piping with arrows and valve tags and all of the stuff that I'm sure you're used to doing. You'll have to coordinate filling the pools with the owner's personnel. Again, you'll be filling with the well and then maintaining the water level with the domestic water supply via the automatic water level control systems. At the end of the project, you will be required to provide O&M manuals and a couple of training sessions for the owner's personnel. You'll also be required to balance all the water initially and make sure that they're left with an appropriate beginning inventory of water chemistry consumables. You have to make sure that the health department is notified and facilitate whatever inspections might be required. So for our walkthrough, we're starting off with a view of the existing wading pool. In this image, or these images, of course, it's in operation, and you'll see that it's fairly large. The filtration system is on the right at the end of a bathhouse building. This is a shot of the main lap pool with the slides there. That's where the new slide pumps go. They are outdoors. They're not in the new building, and you'll see them once you inspect that area a little bit more closely. Again, we're not sure whether the pools will be full or not, so plan on emptying the pool. This is the existing training pool, and that yellow building in the background is the filter building for the training pool. No work really is planned for inside the pools. Any work that happens will be by the township, and it will relate to prepping them for the season. Here we're looking at the main pool through the existing vacuum sand filters. Here you can see the space between the main pool and the filters. Here's one of the filters opened up for inspection. If you've worked on vacuum sand filters before, it should be pretty familiar. So you should understand that there are existing stainless steel boxes mounted to base slabs, concrete slabs underneath, and that will be removed. You can see the bollards there that will have to be removed, and some of the existing crack control and isolation joints that will be important in terms of where exactly you will be removing the deck for pipe trenches. That's the diving pool. This is the existing chemistry building. You really would have no work in terms of the aquatic scope inside this building. The building and everything inside of it is to be demolished and removed from the site. The new building will be in the same location. It will be larger than this building, and the details of the new construction are, I think, pretty clear on the drawings. Again, nothing inside this building is going to be reused, not even the chlorine tanks. It all gets discarded. This, I believe, is a set of images from the existing wading pool system, and most everything in here will be discarded. This is the existing training pool filter building. This building stays. I think it gets a new door, maybe some other architectural work. These are shots of the inside of the existing training pool filtration system. The new filter tanks will be fiberglass. We're not replacing them with steel, but the work is largely similar to what's already existing.